The reason for my perhaps serious appearance is that this is actually a serious subject. Somebody from the Arabian Peninsular Gallery was saying, well, football fields are not funny. No, not funny. We can begin with a very popular subject these days. On the front page of Metro, photograph of Tom Cruise celebrating his film about General von Stauffenberg, who attempted to assassinate Adolf Hitler. You know about this attempt to assassinate Hitler from 1944? It was in July 1944. You could say that, well, if you were asked to bet on whether this plot would succeed, you probably would do so if you're British, you want Hitler dead. Everything looked right, and we're having feedback here, so it's not going to feedback, so we're moving back and forward. The point is that in the case of gambling, if you were offered a venture of gambling and putting some money into the assassination of Adolf Hitler in 1944, it looked like a perfect case. There was going to be a bunker, there was going to be a big table, there was going to be a bomb at the table, it would go off, and everyone would die. Well, unfortunately, they changed the building, so it was no longer concrete. So then when the explosion did happen, it just moved on to the wood building. And unfortunately, an aide-de-camp moved the briefcase with the bomb to the other side of the table behind a large wooden leg. So it broke the leg, but it didn't break Hitler. Anyway, the story is that Hitler survived. Now, in that bet and win case, the guy lost, bet and lose. And with that, every map here shown would have been different. If Hitler had died in July 1944, the war in Europe would have ended. There would have then been a change of the political map in every part of the world, and there's now an area of contest. Most importantly, there would have been probably no nuclear weapons, and therefore no nuclear energy. And that's significant because as the war was continuing, and the threat was hit from Russia increasingly, the United States sort of had to use a nuclear bomb to end the war, keep Russia out. And we have a headline from the 27th, that's only 2 days ago. British Energy names likely sites for new nuclear power generation plants. There will be 4 nuclear generation plants put around London for more ease of access. And this is all part of the general desire to deal with climate change, flood defense, and also national security. It actually to improve energy security. To improve energy security vis-a-vis what? Well, the man behind me upstairs. We looked at Mr. Cooper. He's looking over the whole situation. As you probably know, he, along with the head of Iran, will control about 75% of the world's natural gas if you're in the future, near future. You will become dependent on him for your well-being. So you have to build nuclear reactors. The problem is, it won't be ready until 2016. And that option of nuclear as your salvation from him is pretty risky. Now, the game board, just to show you here for a moment, is that to take a line from Jonathan Swift and talk about the narrow end of the egg and wide end of the egg, it has been apparent, I'm not saying it's true all the time, but it's apparent enough that when you have a political entity and you find it, for some reason or other, it becomes a political contest field, and for some reason or other, there's always a wide end and a narrow end. It's not like a soccer field. And this is actually a fairly accurate way to present this trapezoid. The wide end and the narrow end is a fairly accurate way to portray political contests. And let's just go through them briefly. Europe. We also about Europe, okay. The head of the Portugal speaking about Europe is always in the Atlantic Sea or else that's Europe. And the point is that whenever anybody tries to unify Europe, it gets to be rather messy. The center point is Poland, and I guess you know what's going on in Poland now. And this gets to the point about nuclear gambling. I mentioned nuclear gambling. In Poland, as you know, the United States is putting in anti-missile defenses. In Czech, which is part of the same circle, the United States is putting in nuclear anti-missile radar. This is a very sore point, so sore that German and Russian generals, forget about NATO, German and Russian generals are meeting to discuss this and to protest it. There's a constant battle about Poland as midpoint, what's going on with it. That was the main issue of the guy who tried to assassinate Hitler. It's the main issue even now at HSBC Bank. I can show you a brochure with a more or less position called as a non-thing. It will be absorbed. $6 billion of investment being made by the United States to make sure that does not happen. In the same HSBC document, you can read it, I can show it to you. There's a report about the history of Germany that said, well, in late 1929, September, the Germans made a deal with the Russians. And for some surprise reason, you can understand why. On the 3rd of September, England and France declared war on Germany. Well, why? Well, they were just doing their deal with the Russians. That's happening right now. There's always this movement back and forth, always attempting to control the middle. Now, as you probably know, in this area, East Asia, there's a lot of tension there in Taiwan. There's tension here in Korea. There's always been back and forth tension along the whole of China. In fact, in the last year of World War II, the Japanese actually consolidated their hold on the entire coast. They were actually winning, moving towards the middle, because of problems with Mr. Chiang Kai-shek, who had dismissed the American Germany. Now, even today, we have a very real attempt by forces on the outside to reach here, to essentially get around and leverage over the area in the middle, because everybody's more or less afraid of China, the monster, so to speak. The official map of China portrays this entire area as theirs, except in Japan. They say that they own all the South China Sea, they own, of course, all of Taiwan, they own the Sakhalin Island, they own all of this part of Manchuria, Manchukuo, they own everything back here towards the Caspian, and they own the Philippines. That's actually declared by the Chinese government. So there's an ongoing battle. Sarkozy from France goes to China, sells $23 billion worth of nuclear reactors and airplanes to China to become their buddy. And what does happen in France? Protests, social justice. Sarkozy's gambling to France's power on China or well Taiwan. So all these are nuclear gambles. You don't know how far you're going to go. What's going to happen? This area is another football field, wide end, narrow. North Korea and South Korea. Midline, the border. That's the border. Right in the middle of the field. Hi, Nils. This is Nils Norman, you maybe know him. He likes to gamble too, but not a nuclear style. We're talking about nuclear gambling right now. Nuclear gambling was the issue in the headline in the Financial Times a few days ago. Building 4 nuclear power plants. Forget about the poster in the subway. 4 nuclear power plants around London for energy security. We don't need green anything, we just need nuclear power. They have nuclear weapons, you can't use that. So the midfield here becomes, as you probably know, North Korea has nuclear capability, which is kind of one of the acts of evil. They use these weapons against Japan. Again, the German struggle between the interior and the exterior, the narrow and the wide. Okay, now we have North America and South America. There has been a main desire of the United States to have this all become pan-American. We have the Alliance for Progress, the Organization of African American States, and so on. Well, the midpoint is Jamaica and Guantanamo. In fact, at the very midpoint, the flashpoint was where the United States defeated Spain in 1898. This area is extremely tense at this very moment. Chavez is very hostile right now towards Colombia. Venezuela and Colombia are at each other's throat. Chavez is declaring himself to be a lifetime president. You get away with that? What's going to go on? Does he have to go? Is he going to be able to keep that power? There's a lot of tension again in the midfield, as is normal in football. And it's about who's going to have control of the whole hemisphere. Because what Chavez is saying is, as you may have seen in his gifts to the poor people in America, the North Americans, the Green Belts, don't know what to do. And they need to be influenced by his policy, whether that's Brazil or Argentina, going northwards. The United States, the Green Belts are going southwards on this part of the coast, with their influence on Chile and Peru. But this game back and forth is quite serious and actually quite deadly.